Welcome everybody to the cutting room floor. It is Monday night, and I want to introduce to you some of the things that were going to be into the sermon, but ultimately the message maybe got a little too long or the focus was a little different. And we're, of course, talking about this book during this series. This was the first week, and it's Oh, the Places You Will Go, a very popular Dr. Seuss book, and one that I love that has lots of lessons. But I talked about that on Sunday. So here we are Monday. And what are the things that hit the cutting room floor? Well, I thought about the New Testament and specifically the prophet Elijah, because Elijah, of course, is an Old Testament prophet, but he makes an appearance in the New Testament specifically at the transfiguration of Jesus. Jesus is there with his disciples, and Moses and Elijah both show up. And of course, Peter's amazed, and he's thinking, what is going on here? And I think about that whole story. He's ready to set up tents for them, and Jesus is like, no, that's not what this is all about. And I was thinking about that. And the thing that kept coming to mind as I was studying the Transfiguration is one of my favorite toys as a kid, Transformers. Maybe you've heard of them. You have like a car, but it can transform into a robot. We called them robots in disguise. I loved the cartoon as well, and they've come out with more and more movies. And I'm not saying that Jesus can turn into a car or something like that. I did once see a toy that was a figurine Jesus, and it turned into the Pope-mobile. I'm not making that up. I really saw that. I didn't buy it. It seemed a little sacrilegious. But there's something about the Transfiguration and thinking about Transformers because something crazy's happening on the mountain. And the disciples aren't exactly sure what all is going on. But it's kind of like Moses and Elijah show up and they're like, hey, meet Jesus. He's God's son in disguise. I mean, he's taken on human flesh and he's here with you. And I know you love him and he's your friend. But he's really God's son in disguise. And so I thought about Jesus as a transformer, how he took on the figure of a man to transform us. He wanted to transform us as the sinners. He found us into the people that we could be. He didn't want to lose us. And so he had to take on our figure in order to figure things out for us, which I think is a terrific thought. And Moses and Elijah show up and they're basically saying, this isn't the rabbi you thought he was. He's more than that. He's God's son in disguise, and he's here to do great things. He's not just a teacher. The transfiguration of Jesus shows that God has showed up on our scene in our world to transform it and to transform us. And I've read countless commentaries on what the transfiguration means and exactly what's going on. And nobody seems to come to a great conclusion, which I think is super cool. There's some things that are just a mystery, and we don't fully understand them. The transfigured Jesus is maybe not meant to be figured out. He's supposed to be appreciated. And Moses and Elijah are there to show up and almost say, yeah, that's him. He's the one. This is really important. And we couldn't just stay in heaven. We had to be here just to point that out. And those two know more than any others. Big things happen on mountains. Mount Sinai, Mount Carmel, big things happen on mountains. Now, this week was also Pentecost, and I really wanted to talk a little bit about Pentecost, but just because of the series, it seemed pertinent, it seemed important just to kind of stay with the figure of Elijah. But when I think about Pentecost, I think about it as the day the church was born. The day the church was born, where the disciples, they're transformed from being mere followers of Jesus into being the body of Christ. And so this Pentecost week, may I say to all of you, let's continue that process. Let's follow Jesus, but let's let him complete it as he did at Pentecost, where he transforms his followers into his body on earth. God bless you all. Have a great, great week. We can't wait to see you next Sunday.